And so it's basically they had a strong relationship beginning when Israel was first granted became a nation state, and this was mostly because Israel relied on Iran for oil, and in return, both nations really wanted peace in the region, and the Shah was supportive of this goal of peace, and there were embassies in both nations. However, at the end of this time period, tensions began to rise because Iran and Israel had such a strong relationship. They had been doing a lot of business back and forth, and towards the end, Israel decided not to pay off some of its debts to Iran or Iran, and these were sort of contested. So Israel said they didn't owe them, Iran said they did, sort of going back and forth. So then when the Ayatollah comes into power, then things change completely and there is no longer a peaceful relationship. He declared Israel as the little Satan, meaning the second biggest enemy of Iran, only behind the big Satan, which was the United States. And all of the embassies were closed and all ties were cut off. And so then during the Iran-Iraq war, the relationship shifted back to being more positive, and Israel actually provided many sorts of weapons and missiles to Iran, and so their financial relationship was brought back, and this sort of was a shift back to some of the earlier happenings. And so now in the modern relationship, which is today from 1990 on, as Tommy mentioned, there has been the balance of power between the president and the Shah is very important because between 1997 and 2005, when President Khatami was in power, he took a more moderate approach by saying that he didn't agree with Israel's existence as a nation, but within Iran, he still protected religious freedom and Jews were not persecuted. However, when President Ahmadinejad took over in 2005, it went back to more of a violent relationship because Iran now had a strong relationship with Hamas and other sort of terrorist organizations and Hezbollah in the region. So during the Lebanon War in 2006, Iran aided Hezbollah in attacking in a terrorist attack on Israel. And ever since that, terrorist attacks have been sort of the everyday relationship. Israel in return began attacking and bombing shipments between Hamas and Iran, whether it was weapons or more economic things. And then in 2010, with the whole nuclear situation, as Tommy discussed earlier, Israel got involved in this situation by assassinating some Iranian nuclear scientists because with their relationship now, Israel does not want Iran to have a nuclear bomb for the obvious reasons that Israel is much closer to Iran than the United States, so they are even more against Iran having a nuclear bomb than the United States is. And then in response to the assassinations, Iran attacked various Israeli embassies throughout the world, in Jordan, in Tehran, and just this increase in tensions of attacks going back and forth has really defined their modern relationship since 2005 under that president. And then in the picture you can sort of see Israel is on the left and then Iran's on the right, and there are various ways that they've been plotting to attack each other. And so that moves to the final slide on this issue, which discusses the new president, President Rouhani, who rose to power in 2003, and he has sort of been a continuation of the past president, where the relationship was very rocky. And another addition of the Syrian war in this region has only led to more conflict because of Israel and Iran are on different sides of that, and so there have been even more bombings, and airstrikes on both sides are extremely common. So then throughout this time, the Ayatollah Khamenei, Tommy discussed that he, as a fundamentalist Muslim and wanting to restore the fundamentalist Islam in Iran, he has been very against Israel the whole entire time. And this has to deal with the Palestinian conflict because in his eyes, Israel sort of stole the land and should not be a legitimate nation. So in 2005, he declared that Israel should be wiped off the map, which this was met with much resistance from most of the other countries in the world, seen as wiping off a country for religious reasons is not accepted. So he later walked back this statement, but he still has taken very many anti-Israel positions, and he is actually on Twitter, and he expresses his opinions that way, such as this tweet that he had saying Israel's security will not be ensured whether there will be an Iran deal or not, and then included a link of him explaining why Israel should be destroyed. So as you can see, there is very tense relations. And so does anyone have any questions on this?
So does the Ayatollah still have the more power?
So yes, the Ayatollah does have more power and more authority than the president.
Where is Hamas?
Hamas, go back to the map. I don't know exactly where it is, but I know that I believe it's.
But is it
actually,
the Iranian side or is?
Hamas, I'm pretty sure, is over by Israel. And so that's sort of the conflict has been that area. You can't actually see it on this map, I don't think. But the conflict has been with Israel in this land that is contested that both Jews and Muslims claim. There's been multiple attacks, and because Israel was granted that land, there's been lots of controversy, and that's led to there's various terrorist organizations who try to attack Israel for those reasons, because in their view, they believe that Islam should be the religion of that land. Okay, so next we have, we're going to connect all this history back to Persepolis. So first we're going to start out by watching a video of Stephen Colbert and his interview with Marjane